Britain's centuries-old love affair with gardening is legendary. Now, a nation of gardeners open their gates to celebrate their inspiration, passion and talent. Join us as we visit a world of gardens.
My name is Gillian Eade. Today we'll be visiting the southeast of England. Let's visit Irene at Butlers Farmhouse near Herstmonceux Castle in Sussex. So, Irene, I understand you're a county organiser for the National Garden Scheme.
That's right, Jill. I'm county organiser for Sussex. They call it Sussex East, and it includes quite a lot of West and Mid Sussex as well.
Now, how did you get involved in that?
Well, we've been opening the garden here at Butlers Farmhouse for about 15 years.
Now, what are the drawbacks about opening a garden?
Well, opening your garden, it puts a bit of pressure on you because you want it to be as fabulous as possible. And then if the season is running early, everything will be over. Or if the season is running late, nothing will be out in flower. But the people who come, absolutely delightful. You meet some really lovely people. The NGS visitors are fabulous.
And I believe you also run a bed and breakfast here as well.
Yes, Butlers Farmhouse is a bed and breakfast. We've been doing that for about 5 years now.
And no wonder you're such a pro in the garden and with media, because I believe your other role in life was in teaching, is that correct?
That's right, I was in education for 30 years, Jill. No, I lie, it's 35 in the end.
So do you have any help in the garden around here?
Yes, I have a wonderful helper, June, who lives locally, and she appeared on the day after we moved in, and that was 21 years ago, and it feels like she never's moved out. She actually has her own cottage down the lane, but she's here quite frequently. So she's a big help, not just on the actual physical labour, but she has some wonderful ideas. So if you see something quirky, it could be June's idea, it could be my idea.
Now, what about designing the garden? Was this something that you got professionals in? Did you work it out on paper? Was the garden already established when you arrived 15 years ago?
No, in fact, it was probably about 21 years ago, and there was just hedges and lawns, big clump of trees there, and this Yorkstone terrace, and not a lot else, to be honest. It was neat, it was tidy, but it was very low maintenance with big lawns and hedges. So we've done it bit by bit, really.
I noticed there seems to be the little road to nowhere. There's a little sort of feature. Tell me about that.
Yes, it's rather strange, the sort of brick path. June's in charge of the mowing, and she was pushing a big walk-behind machine, and she felt it sort of bumpy underneath her. So she thought, I wonder what's here. Banged down with her spade, as she's wont to do, and she discovered a very old brick path, and we think it might have led down to the brick buildings here, which were probably a piggery when the farm was here in the 19th century.
How interesting. I believe you've had some interest from overseas regarding the history of the farm.
Yes, we have. A lady used to own the property called Lady Patricia, and we've had her sons back from New Zealand and Australia. They were actually born in the house. They sent us the picture of their family in a horse and cart outside our front door here, dated 1901, before they moved to Australia.
I believe you've also got a rather curious garden that most other people wouldn't have.
Now, are you talking about my secret tropical garden or my poison garden?
A poison garden?
I've got a poison garden, yes. We have a little gate and we have a little lock, and people are allowed in, but don't touch, don't eat, don't touch, and just be careful in there.
Okay, so
and if my bed and breakfast guests are badly behaved, you know where I send
them down to the poison garden.
Yes.
I see. Now, we're really quite close to the sea here, aren't we?
We are.
Although I believe it used to be a lot closer, is that right?
That's right. Well, just over that way, we've got the Pevensey Levels.
Yes.
And they're sort of like marshland, particularly in the winter, can flood again. But the sea used to come right in there. Massive, great embayment, so a large bay. Round the edges, perhaps a bit silty and creek-like. But at the end of the lane, where it drops down, that was the old shoreline.
Really?
So if we have global warming, the swimming pool will be back on the beach again.
Really?
We've got pictures in the archive going back to the most beautiful garden in 1929, 1930. Lovely pictures, lovely garden, and I've tried to recreate some of that lushness, that fullness here, particularly in the rainbow border.
Watchword is plant densely, and do you keep refreshing the borders with new plants every year? Do you split and divide? How do you keep it looking interesting?
Well, the first thing is, of course, we have it right through the year. So in October, November, we'll have Michaelmas, great swathes of Michaelmas daisies, and then we leave the border until Christmas, and I'll do a lot of cutting of the material for house decorations. We start clearing the bed in January, and then we put on loads of pony manure from June's ponies, so it gets an absolutely massive amount of, and at that stage we try to remember where the gaps are and where we need to split and divide. But sometimes things get overcrowded and die naturally, giving us a new planting opportunity. We have it with bulbs in the spring, and then we have aquiledias, then we go to the main summer display, and then in the autumn with the Michaelmas daisies. So it's a almost all year round bed.
So you choose for the National Garden Scheme which dates you open, and you have to
Yes.
make that decision at what time of year?
Right, well it's very flexible. The National Garden Scheme allow garden owners to choose their own dates, their own times, how often they open. The reason we went originally for August was it was suggested that a lot of gardens have run out of steam by August. Suited me down to the ground because of course it's the school holidays.
Holidays, yes.
Yes, and I could guarantee at least 2 weeks then free of other responsibilities, to get the garden nice, ready for the garden visitors. So that's how we start off with August. We then thought, well, we have a lot of bulbs in April, let's move to the April opening. But the NGS don't really tell you when to open. Garden
No.
owners make the choice. It's got to fit in with their life.
Fine. So, I mean, it is all in a good cause, it is for charity. Do you know how much you have raised from Butlers over the years?
To be honest, I don't. I know that my county, last year we raised nearly £154,000 for the charities.
Wonderful.
I like the charities, the nursing and the caring charities. Macmillan particularly is close to my heart.
Excellent. Do you have any advice for people thinking about opening their gardens for the National Garden Scheme?
I think if you're unsure about it, join up with another gardener, a local friend or a neighbour, safety in numbers, and then you can have the fun of 2 or 3 gardens opening together and bounce plants and ideas off each other, and then only one of you perhaps could do the teas. So I think start with a friend.
With a buddy,
With
yes.
a buddy. Buddy up. Or if you've got a huge garden, just go for it. Don't be nervous. You'll meet lovely people. It's great fun. All you've got to do is mow the lawn, do the edges, and make sure you've got lots of lovely tea and cake to serve.
Thank you, Irene, so much for your hospitality at Butlers, not just for showing us round the garden, but for letting us use your bed and breakfast facilities as well. We've had a wonderful time, and well, we look forward to perhaps visiting in the springtime when you can show us all those spring bulbs and the hellebores.
Oh, it must come back, Jill. It's been lovely to meet you. Thank you very much for coming and visiting Butlers.
Thank you, my dear.